What's up, everybody? ShonnyDman here, and welcome back to the channel. I'm glad to have you guys back, whether you're watching on YouTube or podcast. I'm pleased to be joined by another TikTok content creator. Last week we had one on. This one is another content creator, but I'm very excited about this one because I've also followed her for a while. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cindy Che, and like Sean just said, I am a TikTok content creator. You can find my work mostly in cosplay on TikTok and Instagram.
And so I've actually followed her for, I want to say, about a year or so. I think one of the things I came across her page was she was doing cosplays, like she mentioned, and she was doing Jenna from Star versus
Yes,
Jenna. And so that's
hilarious.
That's one of my favorite shows.
Yes.
And Jenna's one of my favorite characters. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm enjoying this. And then afterwards I folled. I was like, oh man, I like everything she's doing. And
I was actually just looking at my Jana videos. I was looking because I'm planning on getting back into Jana soon. I was talking to somebody that wants. Yeah, I was talking to somebody that is looking to cosplay Star, and so we're looking to collab. So I was like, I need to look back at what I've done. So that's so funny. I was literally just looking at my Jana videos.
And so when I started, when we'll get into the main topic of this, but when I started ShonnyDman, you were one of the people that I was very interested in reaching out and talking with, because like I said, I loved everything that you're doing, cosplay, whether it's Star versus the Force of Evil, anything like that. I was like, oh, I really like what she has to offer. I would love to have her come on. And so I was able to reach out and get in contact with you very much. Yeah. So the main purpose of today's episode is we are going to dive into the world of Marvel, which is actually a pretty good time because with, I think, D23 going on this weekend, a lot of new Marvel talks have been coming out, but we'll get into that, but I probably want to get your opinion on this. A couple of weeks ago, I talked with my best friend, and we kind of talked a little bit about Marvel's multiverse that they talked about during San Diego Comic-Con. And there's been there's been different opinions about Phase 4. Some people like it, some people don't like it, some people feel it's not as good. Where do you fall in line when it comes to everything Phase 4 up to this point?
So I've been a huge fan of what I've been seeing from Phase 4. I've been introduced to some of my favorite heroes because of the current phase we're in, but I do understand why some people might not like it as much as the past phases, just because you get really attached to the original Avengers and the original heroes, and so not having them around, I can imagine it being like, it's just not the same anymore. You don't get that same feeling. So I think both sides are valid, like if they're not the biggest fan of Phase 4 versus the other phases. But then like, I think that where I come from, it's like, I'm seeing all these new heroes coming up. I'm seeing a lot more representation with these heroes as well. And it's really cool to see. And I am a huge fan of that. And I do have attachment to the original Avengers, I will admit, but like, I'm also very open to seeing what is to come. So it's still really exciting for me to see everything happening.
Right, because when we had the conversation, and my point about it, because I think a lot of people feel it's just not feeling connected, or like what phase what the Infinity Saga did. And one of the points I said in the episode I did with my best friend was that I said I was like, I understand where Marvel's coming from. You really can't spend another 10 years building up this second saga like you did the first one. Iron Man came out first. Iron Man came out my sophomore year in high school, so that's like 2007.
Wow.
And so I mean, pretty much my high school and most of my adult life, has been the Infinity Saga. So I understand that you can't, which is why I'm fine with why they're putting out as much as they are. I do think they could scale back a little bit, but again, you can't spend 10 years building up, because you have this saga, the multiverse saga, and then another saga more than likely getting set up after this. So you're looking at 20 years. At that point, you're in your, what am I, by that point, I'm like 50, 60 at that point. And so I more likely probably wouldn't be around to see the end result of Marvel's cinematic universe. So as far as the amount of content they're putting out, it's good. There are some things that could be better. It is, like you said, it is introducing characters that, for me, I've never read comics. So a lot of the characters that we're being introduced to are first time for me. Miss Marvel, for instance.
Yes.
I knew very little about her except for the Marvel Avengers game that came out a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe some spots in TV shows here and there. But as far as like knowing her as a character, I knew nothing about her. And the same goes to like Moon Knight, knew nothing about him. So Phase 4 is a good opportunity to introduce these kind of characters like you've spoken about. As far as the TV shows and movies, what has been your favorite and what has been your least favorite?
Okay, so starting with my favorites, WandaVision is, I think, almost it feels like it's almost everybody's favorites. Whenever I talk about Marvel shows and I start saying, wow, this one's my new favorite, people will always comment to me and tell me, you can never beat WandaVision. And I'm like, okay, you're right. WandaVision is always going to be the one that started it. So WandaVision has to be up there for me. Miss Marvel is up there for me as well, just because I really loved her story. I really loved Kamala's personality and how she became a hero. And, just the conflicts that she had doing so as well. I really liked seeing it. And I really loved seeing like the family origin story with her. Like I thought was really cool. And how she connected herself into that and how that all played out. Like that was so beautiful. I will admit I am a huge fan of SheHulk right now. Very much enjoying that show. And I know there's been some debate about that. So, but I personally am like very invested in SheHulk. So that has to be in my top three. Top three. I said three.
That's fine. Hey, that's fine.
Yeah. I am planning on cosplaying SheHulk. I'm gonna go out later today and try to find the last piece I need for it. I need to get a blazer. I want to do her look where she's in a gray suit.
Okay.
So, yeah. Just
like
a little
that.
tidbit
I like
there.
That.
Yeah.
What about movie wise? What's been your? I mean, for the most part, the Phase 4 movies. Obviously, we still have Wakanda Forever that's coming out. I believe next month. How do you feel about the movies? Are they average, or are they about what you expect them to be?
Honestly, they are what I expect them to be, because I think Marvel has a pretty solid formula throughout all of their movies, but it's always something that I really enjoy watching. I'm a huge fan of superheroes in general, so I'm always going to want to consume this media. My favorite movie so far in Phase 4 hands down has to be Shang-Chi.
Agree.
I always tell people I'm a little biased when I say that. I think it's, but I really enjoyed the movie. When I was watching the movie, I forgot I was watching a Marvel movie. I was just so like entranced by the story and just the connection to family and all that. And it was also just like, it had comic relief and really good parts and stuff. And just seeing Shang-Chi not be, he really struggled when he was learning how to, go, when he had to like train to fight against his father. Like you didn't see him land everything perfectly. In fact, like his sister beat him at one point, and that was awesome to see. And speaking of that, something else, so another movie, Black Widow. Really loved the Black Widow movie because I noticed that like Yelena and Natasha and the mom were like all so top notch in their fighting. And then there was the Red Guardian, so the dad, you just didn't see him, you saw him just like falling all the time, and I just kind of was like, nice woman empowerment. So. I was just like, let the woman shine in this, and that's what I noticed about that movie. So.
I enjoyed Black Widow, but then I felt like it's a movie that probably should have came out during the first phase. I mean I get why they gave Scarlett Johansson a movie, but again, I just felt like it probably should have, because you go through her death in Infinity War, very tragic, and then you kind of get the movie after, and you're just kind of like, but it was still a pretty good movie. I still enjoyed it, but I think I wish it would have came out in the Infinity Saga and not this saga.
No, I can understand that. Yeah.
I keep saying Shang-Chi just pronunciation wise of it, how it looks to me. But I did enjoy that movie. Visually, it looks spectacular. The cultural that's intertwined in it is amazing. I very much love that. I would say I'm gonna sidebar Spider-Man No Way Home. But
I always forget that Spider-Man is a part of the MCU just because of how that the Spider-Man franchise is.
Oh yeah.
So I always don't count it, but like Spider-Man is going to always be number one up there for me.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna sideline him for a second. But yes, definitely Shang-Chi is definitely top tier for me. Eternals, I was fine. I was fine with Eternals. Again, Eternals is I don't know much about them, so this is an opportunity for me to learn about them.
Yes.
It was a good movie, visually pretty good as well. I think it had maybe too many characters, and I just really didn't feel that much of a connection except for maybe a few of them. But maybe it suffered from too many characters. But I mean, again, it was still a pretty good movie in my opinion. And then Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness I've seen people talk about it, and there's two different camps. There's one that they like it. The other is that they don't like it. And people that are saying that they don't like it is because it doesn't feel like a Marvel movie, which is true. Sam Raimi is the one that did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you look at his Spider-Man Tobey Maguire movies, they were really good. They were very Sam Raimi based movies. And I didn't have a problem with Multiverse of Madness. I liked it. We got the cool cameos with John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, very fan service, and I liked it. But I would still put Shang-Chi ahead of Doctor Strange when it comes to Phase 4, and a lot of it too is the best thing for Marvel. Let me make sure I say it correct, the right way, was them taking a year off, or having to take a year off from putting out stuff, because we just finished up to 10 years with the Infinity Saga, and they're getting ready to launch the next part, and then obviously COVID happened, and we kind of had to shut things down for about a year.
Yeah.
And then when WandaVision came out, there was like this new rejuvenated energy going towards Marvel, because we had a whole year of I don't even think there was any news regarding Marvel whatsoever. It was completely quiet, and then WandaVision comes out, and I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was originally supposed to be the first Marvel show to kick off Phase 4, but it got pushed back, and WandaVision ended up being the first one, which in WandaVision, like you said, is out of the shows, WandaVision is the best. I very much loved it. I can rewatch that anytime, no problem whatsoever. And now with us getting close to winding down Phase 4, what are your thoughts on Phase 5 and Phase 6 now that we've got the movies and shows that are coming up for Phase 5, plus the Fantastic Four and the 2 Avenger movies coming out in Phase 6. How do you feel about those?
I feel like I'm not ready for Phase 4 to end. Like, I feel like it's going to be a very sudden jump, just because I'm not sure what the last part of Phase 4 is going to be until we jump to Phase 5. So I'm not really sure what the timeline is.
Right.
Yeah. Well, do you know what it's supposed to be?
Originally, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumanium was supposed to be the last entry of Phase 4,
Okay.
but I think they've changed it. So now that's going to be the start of Phase 5, and Wakanda Forever is going to be the end of Phase 4.
Okay.
So
I feel like Phase 4 went very quickly.
it did. It does.
Yeah.
It does feel like it did. It went by very quick.
And I think that I can go around, because earlier you said that it took 10 years to build like Phase 1 and Phase 2 and do the Infinity Saga. I feel like now that there's this expectation of how the formula works with Marvel, it's going to go quicker.
Right.
So it doesn't surprise me that it feels like it's really rushed right now. Like, it feels like now that we are expecting it and now we really want to consume the content and we're so used to the formula, we're going to want this quicker. And I think Marvel's just going with it.
Yeah.
So it does feel rushed, but it doesn't surprise me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited for Phase 5. I'm very excited for Blade. I've always loved Blade, especially the Wesley Snipes trilogy. Loved it. And then we got Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. We just got the cast for the Thunderbolts. That was named, I think, yesterday. Daredevil Born Again is coming, which that alone is going to be Marvel's longest show, which is surprising because most of these shows are 6, 7, 8 episodes. And that's going to be 18 episodes.
Oh wow!
And so
that's going to be a big deal then.
Oh yeah, and then I remember Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is finally coming out.
Yes, I'm very excited for that.
Very excited for that. And then we got Loki season 2. Yeah. I am surprised that we didn't get. I guess I really shouldn't say I am surprised, but I am surprised that we're not getting Fantastic Four a little bit sooner than what we are.
I feel like.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I feel like the Fantastic Four has been hyped up for so long. I'm just patiently waiting for. Yeah.
Well, the last live action Fantastic Four was just not very good.
That's what I've heard. Yeah. I never saw that.
Oh, really? Oh,
I never saw it. No.
Terrible. I mean, the one that came out early 2000s was what it was fine. That was fine.
Yeah, and I have seen that one.
I enjoyed that one, but the one that they did it was not good. It was very terrible. And now, I was telling my best friend about this. I would not be surprised if it was after phase after the end of the multiverse saga, they do kind of and I want to get your opinion on this, on how you think Marvel should approach it, but there's an Easter egg in She-Hulk. I don't know if you saw it or not. I can't remember which episode it was, but she's like looking for a job, and there's an Easter egg reference to Eternals about the Celestial sticking out of the ocean.
Oh.
Because a lot of people were complaining about, like, why has nobody talked about that? And then Marvel puts an Easter egg for that. But also, there's an Easter egg where, in a news article Jen's reading, talks about a man with metal claws fighting in a bar. And so, obviously, we're getting the X-Men. I could see Marvel potentially, I don't know if they will really do this, but I could see them to where the next phase or next saga, it could be an all X-Men based saga, because there's so much you can potentially do with that. But I mean, I don't know. I can go either way. What are your thoughts about how the X-Men can potentially fit into the MCU?
I feel like with them introducing all of the multiverses and all these dimensions that everybody's in, I think it's totally plausible, and I think if there was a phase dedicated to X-Men, I would not mind. So I can learn about them. I will admit I don't know a lot about the X-Men, and I have a lot of cosplay friends that cosplay like from X-Men. So that's all I know. I learned about the X-Men through them. So I know for a fact they're going to be extremely hyped up if that was the case. So there will be a lot of hype if this happens, and it will also just give like people that don't read the comics, because I'm also somebody that doesn't read the comics too much. It'll give us an opportunity to finally like get to know them in the MCU, that is, because there are the X-Men movies from a while back. So.
Which for the most part, those Fox's X-Men movies weren't bad at all. The first two were good. X-Men Last Stand was meh. The three Wolverine movies, primarily Logan, was the best. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I have not.
Oh man! Oh, you have to see this.
There was a lot from. There was like a period of time where I didn't watch movies, and then I suddenly like jump started into watching Marvel movies and like superhero movies, and that's when from there on is when I like was like it was in my radar. So there's a lot I've missed.
Oh man,
yeah.
Some of the X-Men movies were pretty good. A lot of, I don't know, Wolverine is such a huge thing. People, obviously Hugh Jackman has, retired from being Wolverine. He's done it for a decade. I would love to see him in the MCU, but I'd be interested to see on how they cast that these other characters as well. But I've Fantastic Four for sure is more. I'm more excited for that than I am about the X-Men, because I do love the Fantastic Four, and I love Doctor Doom as a villain. He's just who he is as a character is just fascinating. And I would just I think there are talks, and people are talking about it because of Wakanda Forever. There is a potential that Doctor Doom could make not a cameo, because the story in what looks like From Wakanda Forever is based out of a comic. I can't remember the name of it, where the Atlanteans and Wakandans go to war with each other. And in the trailers, you kind of see them going against each other. So a lot of people are speculating that Doctor Doom is the one behind this because he wants to steal the vibranium. So we could get an early glimpse of Doctor Doom for sure. I don't know. I'd be happy if we do. So switching something interesting, I do want to ask you from a woman's perspective. How Phase 4 seems to be, for the most part, very female-led movies or female-led characters. How do you, as a woman, do you feel? I'm trying to think of how I want to word it. That's a positive for sure. Do you feel like there's a little too much of it going on, or do you feel like they can push the envelope a little bit more?
I think it's going in the right direction.
Okay.
I think there's no such thing as too much. Especially like with what's being produced right now and what we've seen. I think everything's been great, and I think if we see more of it, I don't think there's going to be anything wrong. I do know that I remember there was a scene in it was Infinity War was it was Endgame.
Endgame.
Yeah, and Endgame, they had that whole shot where it was like all the female Marvel heroes.
Yes.
There were people that were like, what's the point of this? And it's just like, that scene is for women to see themselves in the MCU. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt anybody to have that. It just makes it exciting for people to see. So I do know that there have been people that have complained. It's just like, why is there so many female heroes now? And it's just like, we exist, like, and we should have this too. So
because I know because right now the hot topic issue for right now is She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Some people like it, some people find it cringe. I personally find it okay. It's an all right show. I can sit back and enjoy it. I have no problem with it. Is it one of Marvel's better shows? Probably not, but I still find myself enjoying it for sure. I think it's very funny in some spots. I love how it breaks the fourth wall.
Oh, yeah, that's those are my favorite parts.
I very much enjoy those. A lot of it. I'm fine with She-Hulk. Obviously, I've seen people on TikTok, and there's just been this whole, split between the show and just things like that. I think one of the things I saw was people talking about like, if you have like a masculinity issue or something like that, you're not going to like this show. And I was just kind of like, okay. So I watched the show. I was like, I don't have an issue with this. This is fine. I can see where certain people would have an issue with the show, but personally, me, I was just like, this is. I don't get too much into that kind of stuff. If I find myself enjoying the show, then I'm going to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I find criticisms with it, I will give criticisms, because that's one of the things I find really annoying, because people were doing this a lot when Paramount did their Halo TV show. And one of the annoying things that I found, because I would do reviews on it, and one of the annoying things was that people who don't like the show would still watch the show just to primarily criticize how much they don't like the show. And I remember commenting on somebody's post, and I said, I was talking along the lines of, if you don't like the show, then why are you watching the show? I don't. And again, it goes into with She-Hulk. If it's not a show that you like, then don't take the time out of your day to watch the show. Because if I find something I don't like, I'm not going to pay any mind to it, because it's not for me. But it might be for somebody else, and I'm not just going to go and trash a show just because I don't personally like it, because everybody else might like it. So She-Hulk is fine. It's not a bad show. I enjoy it. I still would probably put I'll probably put WandaVision ahead of it. I think it's on the same level of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think Miss Marvel is a little bit better. I'm still Hawkeye is. I think I'll probably put Hawkeye maybe below She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And then Moon Knight, I'm not entirely sure where I would put that just yet. I think I'll probably have to rewatch it just to fully get an idea. But I'm completely fine with it. I'm glad I'm not one of those kind of people that finds issues in minute details like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure as a woman, you find those kind of things a hassle as well.
Yeah. I think what you said earlier kind of brings it home. It's, if you don't enjoy the content, why are you watching it?
Right. And
I understand watching it if you've been like such a loyal Marvel fan and you want to consume all the content, you can totally do that. Right. But there are going to be people out there that everybody's going to have a different opinion. Like I said earlier, She-Hulk is one of my top 3 favorite shows now, and I think it's because I find ways to relate to Jennifer Walters that I didn't expect.
Right.
Like, I will admit, like, she said something in the second episode that hit me very personally. It was, you do the right thing and you still get punished for it. She said that to her, like, her and her father were talking after their family dinner.
Right.
And that to me, like, hit me, because it's like, we live in a world where you're going to be criticized no matter what you do. We live in a world where you might think you're doing the right thing, but other people are not going to see it that way. And and I think it's the same for like opinions and just how you view things. It's like, you're always going to view things differently than other people. It's just the matter of how you present your opinion, and because you can be very cruel about your opinions. People can it's easy to, you know, go off about that type of stuff, but some people aren't going to like what you say, and it's just, you know, but it's important to always talk about it. It's like, you should not be like, if somebody doesn't like the show, I would want them to be respectful about that. So and like, I would want them to respect me when I tell them why I love the show, why I love She-Hulk, and why I relate to her. And so it's like, it's just all about learning to respect each other and the opinions. And I think every fandom has those issues with that. Like, if you've seen the Star Wars fandom, like, so it's like, it's like just really learning to respect other people in the communities in the fandoms that you're in. And I think that's always going to be something.
Because Marvel's doing a good job of that. And you know, I'm fine with, because Phase 4 has been very diversified. And because, like, again, I'm gonna go back to Ms. Marvel, and Shang-Chi fits into this as well. It's the ability to see these different cultures represented, and see how, because like Ms. Marvel, you see life as a Pakistani, you know, as a Muslim woman, just the things that they go through and the lives that they lead in those particular cultures. You don't see those very often in reality unless you are from those particular areas of the world. It's very cool to see just how well Marvel has done a good job in implementing these diversified cultures into the cinematic universe, and giving us something that's different but still feels, you know, relevant in the grand scheme of things. Because I've met plenty of Muslim of friends and acquaintances, and they're very good people, and and it's very cool. I remember, I think I came across somebody's, I think I follow him actually. He was talking about how the representation is great, because there are inside jokes in Ms. Marvel that I may not get, but they get it because they know that particular aspect.
Yeah.
So, but so real quick before we wrap things up, tell us about, so for those who are watching, or for those who are listening, Cindy has a very she enjoys the character Silk. Tell us about that real quick. I'm very interested to hear about that.
Oh, I'm very glad you brought her up. She is the reason I got into content creation and everything. So Silk. So Silk is the Korean American Spider Woman. She is from, I believe it's Earth 616. Her origin story is that she was in the same class as Peter. She went on the same field trip as him, where he got bit by the spider. But what happened was it bit him in the hand, and then it crawled onto her ankle and bit her there, and then died. And so she has very similar powers to him, but also very different. Like, she has organic webbing, and she has like super fast. She's like really good agility. And when she developed her powers, her family and her made the decision that she needed to be protected. I believe that she had a mentor that found out somebody was like hunting her down, so she locked herself in a bunker for 10 years. And her story starts where you first see her in the comics is like Peter finds the bunker and like releases her, and she comes out and starts fighting him, and it's just like, why did you let me out? Somebody's out to get me. And then turns out the person that was hunting her down is now dead, so now she's free and she can you know, roam the earth freely now. And that's how her story starts. And her story is like her readjusting to society with these spider powers. There is a scene where she's learning what Facebook is. And it's cool because she is I relate to her. She is Asian representation in the Spider-Verse, and that's why I fell in love with her. But then I also, when I started reading her comics, I learned that, you know, she struggles with anger. She lost her family. Her family is missing in action 10 years later, and so she experiences feelings of loneliness, and she's just like not sure what to do. And so that the feeling of like feeling alone when you're still surrounded by people is a big deal. And I think like I relate to that, and I relate to that. So I definitely relate to her personally as well as culturally, or having the representation there for Asian women.
Right.
So fallen in love with her. I remember getting my first silk suit for a convention, and then I decided to make TikToks, and everything just kind of fell through there.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of how I got into everything. So yeah.
Very, very cool. All right, guys, that is it for this episode of Nerd Talk. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be up on now, but I have a link to where you can follow Cindy on TikTok and Instagram. Be sure to give her a follow. She does great work. I always enjoy
Thank you
watching her content. She posted one the other day of her in a big old mirror, and so
that video, yeah, that was symbiote silk.
I love that. That was great. So be sure to go check that out yourselves. Be sure to make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, comment below, tell me what you guys think. Other than that, Cindy, thank you for coming on Nerd Talk. Hopefully we would get you back on again. I'm already looking forward to having you on again. This was very fun for sure. As per usual, guys, plenty of content on the channel. I may be taking a week off next week when it comes to Nerd Talk, but there's still content out there on the channel for you guys to check out as well. But I'll give more updates to that as we get closer on. But other than that, you guys, I'll catch you guys later. See you.